Welcome back, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I feel like I'm doing these episodes on a Tuesday because Tuesday is like the worst day of the week, right? It's not Monday where like the weekend just happened, and it's not Wednesday where you're halfway through the week and you have some hope. No, Tuesday is probably the worst day of the week, right? I think we can all agree if we really think about it. So I'm going to do an episode on Tuesday because it's something to look forward to, right? Okay, so last week we talked about sort of this concept of like, you know, what don't I know, and how do I believe in myself? How do I find what I love? And also like all the things we don't know are just as important as all the things we do know. So if we know what we don't want, it's very, very, important, especially when you're considering what you do want. So there's all these concepts that questions that you have to ask yourself, processes that you have to go through in order to find the answers to these questions. And the other thing is just patience. Ask yourself that question and give yourself a week, a month, whatever. Just don't forget about it. Put it in the put the seed in your head and just sort of wait until you see the sprout come out of the ground, right? And it's scary sometimes to think to yourself about a skill you might have and bet on it, right? So like everybody has a skill or more than one, and you know what sets you apart from somebody else that has a skill? I could have asked myself the same question when I started this YouTube channel. I could have been like, well, everybody has a podcast, a YouTube channel, everybody's doing this. What makes me special? But that's just like not the right way to think about this because you're not competing with anybody else. You're just trying to add something else to the market. You're trying to give yourself a space that feels intentional and feels right. And you're just going with it. You're not thinking to yourself, well, they're doing something better than me. So why would I do it too? You're saying, I feel called to this. It feels natural to me. I like it, and that's literally enough. I'm good at it. That's enough. That's enough for you to bet on a skill you have. Like, I have always been a people person. I'm very good at reading people. I'm very good at connecting with people. And I use it in my personal life, of course, but I also want to use it in business. There's such a lack of like sympathy, empathy, just thoughtfulness, any of these things in a business world. There's just, especially as the bigger and bigger you go on the scale of business. And I think to me, that's so sad. And I don't want to be in a role or a job that lacks those things. And I want to look around me and to have employees feel like they are extended sympathy and empathy and thoughtfulness and all of those things. So these concepts are my skills, right? And I want to put them out into the world for not only myself to enjoy, but for others to enjoy as well. So, you know, when you have this skill and you say to yourself, like, oh, everybody has skills, that you might not be the only one. There could be people around you that are kind of hating, low key, or maybe high key, right? There could be somebody around you that's like asking you questions, getting to a comfortability with you where they're asserting things that don't feel good. Like, are you ready? Do you feel like you're ready to take on something like that? Are you qualified for that? Are you good enough? People are going to get bold and they're going to ask you questions that are going to feel like a slap in the face. And the more you grow and the more steps you take to get to the place you want to be, people are going to get a little bit more comfortable asserting those types of things. And, it's going to be up to you if you want to keep those energies around you or not. But the bigger point here is that as much as you don't want to answer them and you do not owe somebody those answers, you kind of owe yourself them because you have to know how you feel. You have to be able to answer these questions for yourself so that if ever anybody asks you them, you know the answer. You know how you feel. The one thing that catches somebody up the most in this world is having somebody ask you a question and you really don't know the answer. It kind of, again, goes back to the last episode of like this I don't know thing. A lot of times people say I don't know when they're nervous. They don't want to answer wrong. They don't want to have a half assed answer. So they just say I don't know. And again, there are times that that's not good enough, right? And we have to know. We have to be in a space where we can answer these questions, if not for them, for ourselves. So if somebody asks you, are you sure you can handle this? You don't have to answer them if you don't want to, but you have to answer it for yourself. Can you? Is this a good idea? Have you thought it through? Have you thought about what could go wrong? So, you know, there's this energy that's going to be around you when you start to feel a little success. That's going to feel like it's kind of pulling you a little bit. And you have to be damn sure of your answers to those questions, because people are going to be coming out of the woodworks to try and pull you back down, because God forbid you take a step and you are ahead of them. And I don't mean like literally, I mean they feel like you're ahead of them. The second that you take a step above somebody, you might feel them trying to pull you back down because they want to feel better than you. And they have to have you down here in order to feel better than themselves. So instead of them leveling up and leaving you where you are, they pull you down. So again, answering these questions for yourself, knowing the answer to like all of the like almost bullying questions that you're going to be asked, you have to have them answered for yourself before you even soft launch your company, before you even soft launch your idea, before you reach out to somebody to see if they think it's a good idea. You have to kind of like already be on the track to doing these things, because a lot of people will say things to you that might hit your self-conscious, inner self, and challenge you in those ways. And if those challenges win, where does that leave you and your dreams? It's kind of at a standstill, right? Or it even could die. So you can't go into this and tell people about your ideas or tell people about these things when they're just a little tiny baby, because they're too vulnerable. They're too fragile. And it's you have to protect it. It's your baby. So until your baby is, crawling, you can't float these ideas to people, outside of maybe 2 or 3 people, because it's too vulnerable, it's too fragile. So, the trick to this whole thing is just believing in yourself. To have full belief in yourself and full trust in yourself, have this wonderful relationship with yourself, because you are going to be in a space where you don't need anything. You don't need your friend to hype you up. You don't need, your partner to tell you that this is a great idea or this, you're doing great. You've told yourself that. You've already gotten yourself there. So anything that somebody adds to the pile is just excess. And it's great to have excess, but it's not feeding into what you need. You have to have your gas tank fully filled up. And then anything that somebody adds, again, is just excess. So I know that these things are easier said than done, but it's kind of that same concept of like, you don't get famous overnight. You have 10 years of work until you get famous overnight. And a lot of the times people sleep on the fact that some of that work of that 10 years is literally just getting to the place of confidence, stepping into your entrepreneurial role or stepping into your small business role. If you have a team of people that you do this business with, you have to still be just as confident as you would be as a sole entrepreneur. Because when everybody's starting something out for the first time, we're all sitting at this space, we're all vulnerable, it's new to everybody, we're all trying to figure it out. We are not going to be as capable to be supportive of every single person at the table if we can't support ourselves. When you sit at that table, your contribution is yourself. If you're not confident, if you're self-conscious, if you need some, big energy towards you to like get you ready to do this, you're not as contributing as a member as maybe somebody else. And because there's so many people in that small group, everybody has to come to the table as a full cup, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And if there's this many people that are like a little self-conscious or a little worried about this or a little bit risk averse, it's just not going to be successful. You all have to come with the same energy that one person would come with in order for the energy to be high, the confidence to be high, and to be like out the gate running, right? So, it's totally fine whichever path you take for the leaders of the world. And this obviously is really mostly referring to the leaders of the world. And don't get me wrong, like not wanting to be a leader is just as good. There's a whole nother experience and sort of set of things for the ones that don't want to be, on the forefront of this. And that's, again, it's totally fine. But this conversation is sort of more for the leaders. Even if you're like a mid-level leader, a high leader, it doesn't matter what level you are, you're still a leader, and you still need to like come with that, like, I believe in myself and I believe in you and you and you, and you're going to feel it because I don't just talk the talk, I act it. Like I am the embodiment of confidence and I can extend it to who needs it, you know? So, as I reflect on the times that someone has tried to like have these statements towards me, like the are you qualified, are you good enough? It could have been a boss, it could have been a friend or ex-friend, it could have been an ex-partner, it could have been so many people that tried to have these statements because my dreams, my goals are really big. And a lot of people get intimidated thinking to themselves, oh my God, if she takes one more step, she's going to be bigger than me. Or a boss, oh my God, if she wants to have this goal right out of the gate, she's going to have a bigger capacity in this business than I have. Can't have that. So again, back to the concept we just talked about. Instead of them rising to get above me, they try and pull me down. And, then I think like, what if all of these things that I liked but didn't love were not a love because I couldn't back that. I couldn't get my idea through all of those questions. If I fully said to myself, like, are you confident enough to be teaching dog nutrition 100% of the time? Are you confident enough that that could be your full-on day job? Or do you feel like you're qualified for this? Then you get back to the point where like, I'm qualified to teach these classes, don't get me wrong. But in order for me to take the next step, in order for me to like be certified in all of these things, I'd have to go back to school. I might have to get another, a few more certifications actually. It would have to be something so much bigger, and you'd have to really go down this rabbit hole of that specific thing and then try and find your success. And for me, I knew pretty close into the start that this was going to be a side hustle because as much as I liked it and as much as it made sense for me, it was not what I wanted as my like day job. It was something that I had enough interest in that I could leverage, and could have like, again, on the side, but it didn't make it through my questions. So if somebody asked me on the street, like, are you sure? Like, what if somebody gives you a bad review? Or what if somebody goes crazy and, comes for you or something? Those are things to consider. I guess I'll have to just handle it when it comes. It's not something where I'm like, nope, I got this. I'm fully confident. I have all the teachings. It's a skill of mine. It's just something I simply like learned along the way, and could do. So you think to yourself, like, if you've always been able to answer these questions and you've always felt confident to speak on like your people skills and how much you can help somebody, like why has that not been something that you've considered for a job? Why has that not been something that you considered for finding a capacity to like share that gift? Why is it some little things, the piddly things that kind of bump along the bottom that you're like, sure, I guess I'll pick this one up today, or this one seems cool? Why isn't a skill that you feel that you're really good at isn't something that you've elevated over time? So you get to these points where you're like, oh, maybe I should elevate these things. Why haven't I? Right? So again, you plant the seed and you kind of just let it grow. You let it see what it's going to do. And you leave it alone for a while, so there's like there's this metaphor within bullying, right? Where if you accept all of the things that a bully might say to you to bully you, then there's nothing left to bully you about, right? If you take the power away from the bully, if a bully comes up to you and they're like, what are the like shallow things bullies say? Like, you're fat and ugly. If you're like, yeah, I'm fat and ugly, so they're like, oh, uh, 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 what else you got? So again, hopefully no one ever says either of those things to you, but just as an example, like if they're going to go low, you're not meeting them there, but you're saying like, and now you look like the dumb one because you're the one that said the thing. I accept those things about myself, but you're the one that said it, and now you have fully flipped the script on them, and they are in the limelight as the bully. So it's taking that power away from the wrong places and keeping the energy and the power for yourself. Sure, talk shit. Sure. Tell your friends that my podcast sucks. Sure. Tell your friends that my business is destined to fail, or that my dog nutrition class is like, it sucks. Go ahead. Doesn't say anything about me. Says everything about you. And I'm not going to allow that in because I really believe in what I'm doing. I know that this is going to get somewhere because I'm consistent, because I have people skills, because I felt called to these things. That's enough. That's enough for me to keep going. And, when you've put every single idea through this process, right? And you know what is going to be a side hustle and what is going to be sort of still yet to discover, you kind of are taking these steps, right? Like you're not saying no to them, but you're not putting them on the front burner. And you're just kind of, again, you're letting the plants grow. You're not ready yet to like have the full picture, but you've made an agreement with yourself where you're still waiting, and you're still being patient, and you're still figuring these things out for yourself. And within that process, like maybe I couldn't get to a point with any of those things because my dreams were bigger. Sometimes like the woman that I teach the dog nutrition classes with, she has another job on the side. She has a whole nother business that she owns. So she also understands that the thing that we're doing together is sort of more of a side hustle. So imagine I was like, no, I want this to be my front running thing. And you're going to help me, right? And you're going to help me, right? And you're going to help me, right? And then let's say her busy season comes around and she's super busy and I feel left behind because she's focused on that, which is her main event that she's vetted and feels confident about and is good at. And now I'm sitting here like, damn, I got to carry this all on my own. Like, what now? Like, what do I do now? And that's not where you want to be. That is not where you want to be. So, again, you're thinking about your ideas. What else? Okay, so could I see myself continuing in fashion? Could I see myself taking a fashion job from corporate and trying to go small about it? Well, I did that, right? I was working for a huge Fortune 500 company, and then I went to like a very small company and still tried to like do the buying thing and find joy and continue that oomph. Okay, so then what if I took it a step smaller? What would I even be? You can't be a buyer for nothing, right? You have to work for somebody or for someone else's designs that they're making. Okay, what if I worked for like a small designer? Does that fulfill me? Is that my dream? No. So again, these questions that like a bully or like a rude person or someone trying to pull you back down, the questions that you would anticipate they ask you could very much help you to navigate through this whole, matrix of, is this for me? And you're going to get to a point where you have to draw the line between being self-conscious about an idea and your intuition. So, for example, my intuition was, oh my God, I really like to help people. I like to help them further their businesses. And I don't want to work with big people. I want to work with the little guys, like something I can still relate to and someone that needs it the most, you know? And I know I can connect with people because I do it every day. My friends are always telling me about these things too. I'm getting the sort of reassurance in these spaces that this could go beyond just on a friend level. This could be something in a business level that I could offer. Okay, cool. Now, that's my intuition. But then you think about like the bosses or the ex-boyfriends or the whatever that have tried to pull you down, and you think to yourself, God, are they right? Like, when that person tried to say that statement so that I would stop believing in myself or like stop betting on myself so much, like, do they kind of have a point? So, sure, there's always going to be a level of like you second guessing yourself or you trying to make sure that you're sure of your decisions. But you have to draw the line between, okay, this isn't a good idea. I don't want to go that route because it just doesn't seem like it's going to pan out the way I want it to. And this is just one of those tests that the universe is putting out for me that I need to be able to just prove it. There's a very, very distinct difference between the two, and it's intuition. So we have to be very mindful of how self-conscious we get in these moments where you're being pulled to something. It feels challenging. There might be people pulling you down, but it's something you really want. Now, it's going to be the difference in believing yourself and not, because it's there. It's the plant is starting to come out of the ground. It's becoming something you can choose. But if you don't have the confidence to go for it because there's voices in your head and stuff, now what? Now are you going to walk away from something that you just spent so much time trying to figure out, trying to invest in yourself, trying to bet on yourself? And then the tests that come, you might misinterpret them thinking, maybe this isn't the greatest idea. I mean, this person said this and this person said this, and maybe that's the universe trying to tell me this isn't the best option for me. I mean, I'm getting all this feedback, so why wouldn't I listen to it? No, wrong, no. You have to be able to silence those voices and to really tap into the voice really inside of you. Like, we have so many voices of negativity that are planted in us, especially the dreamers of the world. So many people try and keep us down that we have so many voices in our head from so many people trying to pull us down. We have to have a very, very, very good ability to navigate through what voices are theirs and what voices are ours. Because at the end of the day, again, when you're behind that closed door and you're not answering to anybody besides yourself, can you answer these questions about your dream, about the thing that you want? No matter what it is, no matter if it's this dream job you want, or if it's starting your own company, or starting it with 4 other people, whatever it is, can you answer those questions? Are you her? Are you him? Can you stand up the next day and stand into that place and be them? And the answer is hell yeah. But do you believe that? Can you lead with that? Because leaders have to be sure. And I'm sure that you, along with me, have seen so many people in leadership roles that are so self-conscious, have very little confidence, are terrible leaders, are terrible teachers. They're not furthering anybody, right? And everybody fails. That's not a real leader. Just because you're, put in this position where you have leader in your title, it doesn't mean that you're a leader. It doesn't mean that you're doing a good job. And when you don't have the comfort of a company around you to give you that title, it's actually harder to get that title because you actually have to be that role. I realized the second that I realized that, assessing and giving feedback to people and supporting them was something that I could confidently answer all those questions about and confidently be this person every single day. And I could handle many at the same time. And it's not overwhelming me. It's not making me, not sleep at night. It's not pulling me away from my life or my goals or anything like that. It was like, wait, I just found my Goldilocks. Literally, like, this is something I'm good at. I already know how to do. Every single person that I work with is going to give me more experience, more understanding, more like nuances that I learn about. I'm constantly a student of something I'm good at. And so then you have this thing where if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right? Oh my God. that quickly. It's like I put my dream through all of the questions, all of the like statements, and it passed. Okay. So now it's made it past me. Now you bring one person in and you say, "Hey, best friend," or "Hey, mom," or "Hey, sister, brother, what do you think about this idea I have?" And now you have to, again, stay very deeply planted in the fact that whatever they say and give is excess, right? So no matter if it's good or bad, it's excess. You have to stay deeply rooted in how you feel about it. But you can start to slowly pull in people, or you don't even want your family and your friends involved. You go to someone like me and you say, "Hey, I have this idea and I'm a little vulnerable about it, but I have, gotten to a place where I'm sure and I want to take the first steps. I don't really know what they are. I don't know how to get them, but the first step of just finding something that I love enough, finding something that I appreciate enough, I'm there. I've gotten to that point." And like I said, it's just as important as the first step with me. The first step of knowing what you want and knowing what the dream looks like is just as important as the first step working with someone like me. And, like I said, the 10 years before you make it overnight, my process is included in those 10 years before you make it overnight. I'm not, it's not mandatory that I'm included in that, but like working with me, my process can totally be part of those 10 years. And you don't have to do it all. When you have a good idea and you're good at that thing, it might not be that you're good at organization or you're good at, financial literacy or you're good at finding clients or marketing or any of these things. You might just be good at your thing. That's okay. Like you don't have to be everybody, especially sometimes when entrepreneurs start out and it's just them and they don't have a little team where like everyone can be good at their thing. You feel like there's so much pressure. It's almost like when you live alone and you lose your job. It's like, I don't have a partner that can pay the rent until I figure my shit out. Like, this is all on me. And it is very, very, very stressful. And it's so much pressure. And, you know, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to, call the placement agent or call the person that knows how to help you with your business, or it's okay. It's just okay to ask for help. And a lot of the times we kind of squeak under the door. We try not to ask for help. We don't want to be a burden. We don't really know how to ask for help. We don't know who to go to for help. There's so many like sort of different things that play into asking for help. But all of that time that's spent not asking for help because you're like unsure or a little self-conscious, not confident enough, the person that is confident enough, the person that isn't self-conscious is asking for help and they're not wasting the same time. So, not trying to be hard on anybody or judge anybody for taking that time, but just to say that like you don't have to spend that time being self-conscious or like waiting for yourself to feel better. If you need the time, don't get me wrong, take it, right? Because you need to be, feeling good about yourself. But if you just kind of can't afford it, like a lot of us can't afford to take that time, don't feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders because you have this good idea, but you don't know how to execute it, or you don't know how to get the right players on your team to help you execute it, So, you know, the answer to getting to the place where you can answer all the questions and knowing the difference between, like I was saying, between intuition and being self-conscious is the inner voice. Who is that person? One of the things that I've realized about, my journey in entrepreneurship is that as you get deeper and deeper into this journey, you actually don't realize how much you change. And somebody that could afford maybe at one point to be self-conscious, like when I was working in corporate, when I was working for somebody, I actually found a lot of times that I could be a little self-conscious because there was somebody above me that knew more than me, or there was somebody above me that, could assess like a fail or a mistake or something. And when you're doing this by yourself and you're sort of coasting on your own ideas and doing this for yourself, like there's nobody above you to like shame you or blame you or like make you feel bad about something that you did. And that's like amazing. But you're realizing as you work harder that there's so much more joy in not having those things. So, yeah, of course, you have to be hard on yourself at times and you have to make sure you stay on the ball and all this stuff. But mentally, it's so much easier because in this way, because no one is telling you you messed up or no one is like forcing you to do better or like your promotion's not at stake or your raise isn't at stake, whatever it is. Like, of course there are other things at stake, like if you don't have clients, if you don't have success in your business, sure, but that's within you. And you don't realize as you work down this path of becoming who you're supposed to be that you get tougher every day. You get more built for this every day. And before you know it, all of those self-conscious thoughts are literally dead. You can't afford to have them, so they're dead. And that was just something that was such a gift for me. I didn't know. I just didn't know. Like, I was like, you know what? I'm scared, but I'm going to be brave. I don't know what the hell is coming next. I don't know what it's going to feel like. I don't know, what's coming my way, but I'm brave enough to go do it and try. And then you're realizing in hindsight, like I was just reading my notes in my notebook from episode 1 and even notes like before I even started my podcast, just trying to like get ideas for what I wanted to do. And now you're looking at the episodes that you're doing now, like me, I was just watching my last episode and I'm like, it's been like 6 weeks and I already have so much more like in the bank. Like my gas tank is full and nobody put any gas in there. Like I did that, right? And I guess I didn't know how good of a feeling that could be until it was mine. Like I wanted this so bad and I was working so hard and I was willing to do what it took and all these things. That it could all be true, but how many years did I spend in corporate feeling ready, feeling confident, feeling like I want to be an entrepreneur so bad, but I had no idea how unprepared I was. And now you're at this place where I have my LLC, I have my YouTube, I'm posting on TikTok, I have my dog or like pet painting side hustle, I have my dog nutrition side hustle. Again, it's like everything could happen at the exact same time and you never stop to like smell the roses. And I just want to stop and just say that along the way, there's going to be a lot of roses, and you have to be very aware to stop and smell them because the milestones are not going to be tracked in like raises and, you know, your boss pulling you aside and telling you you're doing a good job. That's all you. So, for all the times that you worked a corporate job that you really wanted that raise, you really wanted that promotion, you really wanted that new role that someone just left and you were perfectly qualified for and you didn't get them, you have to make sure that when you do it for yourself, that you do it right and you don't punish yourself and you don't just keep going and put your head down and try and enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. Like I was saying before, everybody has end goals and they're great and they're there for a reason. And absolutely, you should have an end goal. But you're, like I said last time, once you get to that end goal, you start another journey and you can't forget to celebrate these things as you go. I think that a lot of the times for people that left corporate and try and do something else, we're so focused on productivity. We want to be working 12 hours a day and grinding. And that's what makes us successful. And that's what makes us a good worker and worthy and all these very toxic things. But nowhere in that structure is it like, you know what? Take a personal day because you really worked hard and you earned that. And you know what? Go on the vacation and do the thing and take the extra time. No, in corporate, it's like, oh, you need a week off. Can you push it? We have a deadline. Like, oh, you're getting married and you need 3 days instead of 2. Who's going to do this work for you? They don't care. They don't care what you have going on. So don't be the same boss that you had, that you resented and hated. The secondary point of starting your own thing, if you get to the point where you're hiring employees, is to create and facilitate an environment that far exceeds the toxicity of the corporate workplace. And we all have the power to do that if we want to do that. Of course, we can all be as ruthless and rude as the people we used to work for, but are we really bettering anything if we just repeat the same cycles on a smaller level? Have we even like given back or done the right thing if we just do that again? So these are just things that maybe you're an entrepreneur forever and maybe it's just you and your business forever, and that's fine. But you still have to treat yourself well. You still have to go smell the flowers. But if you have a business where you hire other people, you have to make sure that every step of the way that all of you guys are smelling the flowers. Because, living in New York City and watching Mayor Mamdani come in and having such an profoundly positive response, like you see the DOT workers outside. I was out there in the winter and I was watching, the Department of Transportation like picking up all the snow. It was like 2 a.m. one night and I was out on the street and the whole crew came in and they shut down a block at a time on the avenues, and they have this big dumpster and they have this big tractor and they have a couple men on the street and they're shoveling these big amounts of snow. They're putting them into the dumpster and they're getting the snow out of here for us. Now, I've lived in New York for a long, long time. And first of all, I've never seen this. But second of all, every single one of those workers was so happy. There was music playing, they were together, they were liking their job. Okay. We kind of sometimes sleep on how important it is to like your job because, there are a lot of people that don't like their jobs and have to do it anyway. You have to sort of grin and bear it. That is such a norm in this country that we, again, don't really stop to assess. Like, do I even like this? Is this even for me? But then you could see someone on the DOT that has been working this job for 20 years, 10 years, whatever, just gotten through every day. And then a new mayor comes in with this whole new initiative, a new boss. And now all of a sudden, overnight, you love your job. Truly, like leadership can be that important. And when you love your job, you work harder at it, you want to be better at it, you put more effort into it. It fills you up more, you're happier. Like literally, it's like watching a heart fill with blood. And we have to never forget how important it is to be at the top, at the bottom, in the middle, anywhere, because we all have to be happy together. And it starts with good leadership. And that leadership might be you. And so if you have any of these things or any of these questions, or have these things have resonated with you in any sort of way, you're my people. And I would love to work with you. And I know that the world needs more people like you. And I can help you get there. I can help you to discover these things about yourself just the same way I discovered them about myself. And like I said, your contribution to the world and your contribution to those around you can go from a little to a hell of a lot just by a little bit of confidence. So anyway, that's enough for this week. But I hope you stay tuned for next week, and we'll continue to talk about certain things like this and sort of how to get to the next levels and how to, diversify what role you are in a company, all these things. And yeah, stay tuned. I am absolutely loving this.